If you want to go to Berlin or Amsterdam, I think those are both great options. You really have to analyze, okay, what are the startups that I want to be close to? What are the venture capitalists that I want to be close to? There is more activity in Berlin than there is in Amsterdam, but you're also competing with more startups in that space for the attention of venture capitalists. On the learning side, a really good ecosystem when it comes to tech teams. So if you're looking for a tech-enabled, then that would be definitely an option. But Amsterdam also has some really great qualities, and the government is really focusing in on making Amsterdam and the Netherlands in general a better place for startups. So I think you also have some policy support in the long term that may benefit your choice to come to Amsterdam. I'm Victor B. Smith, a French-American, living in Amsterdam. I run ASIF Ventures, right here. What we do is we invest in student and recent graduate founded startups, mostly in Amsterdam, but also around the Netherlands. Bachelor, it can be master's, and it can sometimes be PhD. I'm French-American, as I said. I came to Amsterdam to study business at Hotel School The Hague, which is a business school centered around hospitality. I started my startup during my studies called Starter Kit. That was in the past. Through Starter Kit, I developed a passion for startups and building companies and just doing stuff on my own. Then I got introduced to ASIF Ventures by being part of Starter Kit. I decided to join the company. Students want to start a business. It's often difficult for them to convince more traditional venture capitalists to invest in their startups. I mean, they're very young, they don't usually have a lot of industry knowledge. It's often their first startup, so they're first-time founders, which is less attractive than second-time founders. Well, effectively, there was a gap between students who want to start businesses, them being able to acquire venture capital funding. And so, yeah, ASIF was created to support these early-stage startups created by students. We have 11 portfolio companies. Dime, which is a finance app for managing your personal finances. Project CC, which is a platform that aggregates sustainable fashion. We have La La Land, which is a company that creates AI human models for the fashion industry. We have No Work, which is a property management system for co-working spaces. Then we have Bringly, which is a sustainable last mile delivery solution. After that, we have, think about the order, Cargoplot, a company that helps get freight shipped across the world. Workwise, home office procurement system for companies, for their employees to work flexibly from home with adequate office furniture. Elementa, app for lab workers to help them with their note-taking, documentation, but also processes in the lab. Hello Mentor, mentoring platform for students who want to transition into a tech career. Radistry, basically carpooling for trucks and truckloads to combine less than truckloads into full truckloads. Bluetick, search engine for lawyers and anyone involved in searching for cases for building a case, for example. Dime is definitely one of the companies that we've invested in that has now been very successful. There's other ones that are successful within the list. The reason you might know Dime more than the others is because Dime is a B2C, it's a consumer app, whereas the other ones are all B2B solutions, or mostly B2B. You might not know them if you're not in a specific industry, such as if you're a lawyer, you might know of Bluetick, but if you're not a lawyer, you might not. A lot of the companies that we've invested in have grown. In fact, all of them have grown. Yeah, around half have raised follow-on funding so far. And yeah, it's very exciting times. We're always trying to help the companies get follow-on funding because we want to bridge the gap between where they were before and the follow-on investing they can get. I think early stage, the difference between the Netherlands and another country, let's look at the USA because it's a very startup intensive landscape and a startup friendly landscape. I would say the main difference is that in the Netherlands there's less support than, for example, the US. Just because people are more conservative with their money in this country rather than the US, where risk is more appreciated, where failure is more appreciated. So for an early stage startup, it can be more difficult in the Netherlands than in the US. We look at three factors mainly, and those are the team. So we want the founding team to be solid, to have all the capabilities necessary to bring that startup at least to the next funding round. We also look at the market size. So because you're investing in startups, a lot of them will fail. If the one that succeeds does not have a big market, then you're not able to return the investment. So we make sure that the market size is large enough in each of the investments that we make. And lastly is validation. Has the startup proven to us that the problem that they're trying to solve is worth solving? So have they talked to a lot of different customers? Do they have proof that their product will sell, or do they have proof that their product is already selling very well? That's all forms of validation. We look at these three, it can change, whereas these three things are quite concrete. No, so we focus on all industries. We're sector agnostic. Characteristics of Dutch VCs. Well, compared abroad, as I said in the US, Dutch venture capitalists or Dutch investors, slightly more conservative, and they will wait for more validation or more traction than an American investor might. However, there's been a good trend in 2020 and in 2021. There's been more money that has come in to the venture capital space in general, but also in the Netherlands, and that has pushed for more competition between venture capitalists, and they're being forced to make decisions more quickly. I think beneficial for innovation. It depends which market you're looking to capture first. Yeah, I would choose any of 3 hubs, which would be Berlin, Amsterdam, or London. Amsterdam is a pretty good option in Europe. I would say it's part of the top 3 in my opinion, because you have, well, an English-speaking country, so it's very easy to interact on the business level. You have a very good connection to Germany and also Belgium, which are small markets, so you have to quickly expand out of that, in my opinion. Also different hubs in the Netherlands based on what exactly you want to create. So if you're more in the fintech, then Amsterdam is great. If you're more on the manufacturing side, then there's other hubs as well, like Eindhoven. If you're in agriculture, Wageningen is great. And the Netherlands is super well connected, so you can connect those different cities quite easily. I'm actually looking at exploring different industries that are a bit unexplored in the venture capital space. For example, deep tech. That really interests me. I hope that I'm able to explore that in my next role after ASIF Ventures. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you want to come to Europe, the Netherlands is a great place. There's also, as I mentioned, the government support for entrepreneurs and startups in general. There's also a visa that you can get to start your business here in the Netherlands. It's valid 1 year, and if you hit a few milestones, which are pretty basic, then you can extend that visa for another 2 years. There's a great ecosystem. It's growing. It's becoming more free and less conservative. So if you want to hop on the train now, yeah, I would definitely consider moving to the Netherlands and Amsterdam in particular.